they're all French Canadian in that area. It's called the St. John River Valley. Like, I used to visit back there in the summers, and if you go to church in Fort Kent, Maine, which is the United States, the church will be said, the whole mass will be said in French. They're all French Canucks. So they're all the same in that area. They're all what's called Breton and French Canadian. So my mom and dad, their home language actually growing up was French. French Canadian, which is French once removed. They don't say oui for yes, they'll say whack whack. I mean, it's like a, you know, there's certain things they say that even French people don't understand them, you know. And then it gets even worse when they went down the river to Louisiana, and then that French, I could barely understand that kind of French. It's even worse. So it's very removed French, but it's French, and that's what they spoke at home. My oldest brother and my oldest sister were born in Canada, and while my dad still had his potato farm, and they learned French. But then my dad lost the potato farm. It's hard to keep a farm, and any farm people know. He lost it to foreclosure, and you know, and I think that that's bad for my parents, I guess. But I'm glad because they moved to Connecticut. My parents did from there, where my dad had he started getting odd jobs, doing what he could. You know, he worked for Yellow Freight for a while. As I said, he was a trucker for a little while. He did what he could. Then he was, but then they had 3 of us there. They had and I was the youngest, so they had 5 children. So they had 2 in Canada, and I was born in Hartford, Connecticut. And by the time I was 5, my dad was about ready to get laid off, and so my mom's brother came down. He had moved to California, my mom's brother, and he had a house there, and he was leaving for 6 months to go somewhere, and he says, hey, why don't you take over the rent in this apartment? He didn't own the place, but he wanted us to take over the rent and just move. And my mom said, oh, let's do it. Let's go. She's a teacher, and she could work anywhere, and my dad was about ready to lose his job. So, what the hell? I remember this. I was 5 years old, and I was all excited. I thought we were moving to America. We're moving to America. I was telling everybody in my kindergarten class, like, okay, whatever. And I also remember specifically, we were renting this house there in Bridgeport, or Stratford, one of those 2 places, Stratford at the time. And I remember, and we were renting it, and I remember this the biggest garage sale in history. I mean, it was a 2-story house, 5 kids, and we just said, everything in the house for sale. And everybody would come in the house and how much for that? $2, $1, 50 cents. Just buy everything. So, and then we got enough money, my dad did, to buy a station wagon and rent a U-Haul, and that's all we had. We had this station wagon, a U-Haul, with everything we all owned in it, and we trekked across the country in this thing, to California, to Long Beach, California. North Long Beach, California. And that's where, I went to Star King Elementary School in North Long Beach. And from there, we eventually moved a little bit to another area in North Long Beach because the rent was up or something like that. I don't know. They just found a better place, but it was still in North Long Beach, St. Louis Avenue in Long Beach, 6401. Right down the street from my best friend growing up, Jeff Hanneman. I love this story. He's like a big old rock star guitar player with Slayer or something like that. Yeah, Jeff Hanneman. My first kiss with a boy who kissed me. And it wasn't even a big deal. It was like this little peck on the cheek, and it was just to keep me quiet because we were playing hide and seek. And like right now, diarrhea of the mouth. I was talking and saying something, and he was like, and it was teams, like we were playing hide and seek, and we were behind the chimney, and he just wanted to shut me up. So he kissed me, and it shut me up because I was like in shock. It's my best friend, and he kissed me. And that's Jeff Hanneman, and he will deny that until the cows come home, probably. But anyway, that's Jeff Hanneman. And we used to go play, God, I can't believe I'm bringing up this story. Oh, let's just get on with it. Get on with your life. You're only at 5. Well, it's 6 or 7 here. Or no, I was like 10 or 11. But we did play. I look up Jeff Hanneman online. It's my sister who told me this. I didn't even know this until like 5 years ago. She says, "Remember Jeff Hanneman you used to hang out with all the time? Down the street. He's like this big rock star guy. I mean, he's already over the hill. He's already gone. He's like his past, I guess, or whatever." So anyway, Jeff Hanneman. But I look him up online, and he talks about all the people who influenced him, and he never mentions. I don't know. He's embarrassed. He never mentions Kiss. I swear to you, every day we would go in and pretend I was like the drummer. I want to rock and roll all night. And there was two guys. All my friends growing up were boys because I was a tomboy. And Danny and his brother were the other band members. And this guy was Gene Simmons, I guess. Jeff Hanneman was. And he would play the guitar. And we would do air. We would play to the Kiss music every day for like an entire summer. And little did I know that he would go on and be a big, guitar player for Slayer. Or, is it Slayer? Yeah. I don't even know. It's this rock band. I don't even know. But when I looked it up, he never mentioned Kiss as being an influence. They're soft or they're too embarrassing for him. And I think that's hilarious, because I think he would deny that too. And the Kiss, or whatever. It doesn't make any it's not a big deal. So, that was St. Louis Avenue, 6401 St. Louis Avenue in North Long Beach. So that's where I grew up, from the age of 5 to 18, and with my French-speaking family. And what my parents would do, they would speak French to all of us, because that's what they did, and we would answer in English. So it was very strange. I never really learned French, but anyway. So I was Yogi. My name is Huguette Nicole Pelletier, and then I became Huguette Nicole Young, and then I became H. Nicole Young, because I went to my middle name, Nicole. Because I couldn't be Yogi for my whole life, and Huguette was too difficult for everybody. That's my aunt and my godmother who lives in Canada. I used to spend my summers back there. I used to be a windsurf instructor for her. So that's my life. That's my growing up. And that's why I have a French-Canadian name, and that's where the H comes from, and H. Nicole Young. So, anyway, God, this is going to bore everybody to death. God. Okay, that was fun, coming across the country at the age of 5. The car conked out, the station wagon, right when we got here too. It was like, it just got us here and that was it. My mom was a teacher for Long Beach Unified School District for many, many, many years. And then my brothers grew up, became firemen. My brother actually was battalion chief of the Huntington Beach Fire Department before he retired and became an airline pilot. This is the brother who told me that it's interesting for everybody to have 3 careers, and he's only on number 2, and he's 55, so I'm telling him, hey bro, it's 56 or something like that, where's your 3rd career? And he's thinking of being a truck driver, because I'm talking to him about it, and we have similar jobs. He's an airline pilot, but we kind of do the same thing, We're under kind of strict regulations, sleep, and we're not home much, and we travel a lot, and, and we love it, so it's in our genes. And he's thinking, and I think you can be a truck driver a lot longer than you can an airline pilot. I think you have to quit at a certain age, so the restrictions are higher. Anyway, that's my brother Jacques. I have a sister, Renee. She was born in 1957, and the truck is named after her, Nene. She has 2 children. She lives in, the whole family kind of started migrating to the south. First, my brother got a job in Huntington Beach, and then my sister moved down there, and then everybody started moving down there. My parents moved down there from Long Beach when I was going to UC Irvine, which is great because I was commuting all the way from Long Beach by car to University of California at Irvine. So I was really good in school. I love that in high school there was like awards for various subjects, and I won them both. I was the best in my whole high school. It's called David Starr Jordan High School in North Long Beach. Oh, I was born a poor black child. I get it. Okay, so North Long Beach is very mixed, and I was like the only white girl on an all-black basketball team for 5 or 6 years. The Oreo, whatever you want to call me. So I really, I was shy. I was kind of a loner back then. I didn't invite people home, but I was involved in sports, and that keeps you out of trouble. And I was really good in sports, and I enjoyed that. So that keeps you out of trouble. Music or sports is good for kids in school. So I would support those programs, even before like math and science. I would, like music especially. I mean, it's so important, I think, even though I'm a math, so I won awards in math and government, of all things, because that just really interested me all of a sudden in high school. And I love those two, and it's still to this day. I'm scientific, and I like knowing how the government works. I maybe should have been a lawyer, but no regrets. No regrets, because I liked science. I went to UC Irvine as a science major. I was going to be a doctor, but I fell in love with the chemistry classes, and I ended up graduating with a bachelor's degree in chemistry. And I went to graduate school at UCSD, and I kept studying chemistry because I really enjoyed it. I didn't like college so much because, you take the classes and it's very structured and rigorous, and I just couldn't wait to get to graduate school. And when I got to graduate school, I really took off well. I did well in science because you just asked. I was so curious about a lot of things, and I wanted to answer a lot of questions, and so I got a PhD pretty quickly because I did some work. I was very stubborn too. It was like one of the things they were telling me, that's impossible, or that's not possible, or you can't do that. And it's just like, you know what? I'm either going to make this work, or it's going to work, because I really believe strongly in this theory that I had, and I wanted to get the experimental data to, prove or disprove it, or whatever it was, And I worked so hard, and it was like my third year there, and I still didn't have what I needed. And I said, oh, it's going to work. And it did, and it finally did, and it ended up being a huge deal, and it's in all the biochemistry textbooks and everything, and it was, a major article in Science magazine, it's the top premier science magazine, science journal of the world, or whatever, that in Nature, and all that stuff. So it was a big deal. It was like the second most cited paper in chemistry for a while. So I really did well as a graduate student. Got my PhD at University of California, San Diego. Oh, this is boring. God. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. How did you go from that to convicted felon? Well, I hinted at it a little bit when I said that I won an award in high school. I just thought about this yesterday, thinking of my life. Math and government. That was interesting. I read that entire, how it all works. I should have, yeah. The other thing I could have been after science was a lawyer, because I really love I like the court system. I like how it works. Out of all the branches of government, the executive branch, which is all the politicians, not all the politicians, but like the governors, the president, these people are the executive branch. And then the legislative branch is also kind of boring to me, and that's the real politicians in Congress and your state legislatures, and they make the laws and do this and do that. But the branch I'm most interested in is the judiciary, and I like that. I like studying that, and I want to defend it and protect it. You have checks and balances and all that, and out of all the three, I'm constantly interested in what's coming out in the Supreme Court, and I'm constantly in the courtroom. I've been involved in a civil lawsuit that went on for 7 years against a pharmaceutical company trying to change some stuff, and 3 criminal cases against me, and I just always in the courtroom. And I've been on a jury 3 times, which just interests me. You'd think I would have been a lawyer, and I probably, that could have been, a third career for me, but truck driver is much better. I'm telling you. Well, maybe I'll have a 4th career, but no, I don't. I just like the law, and I like that kind of stuff when I was studying the government and how things work. So, and I'll talk more about that maybe later, like the difference between, we'll see. Boring. Get on with it. So I have a PhD in chemistry, and I'm in biochemistry textbooks. I actually made it to professor of biochemistry at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston at a young age. I was like 27 or 20. I was a very young, But as a female, it's kind of tough. I was having a hard time getting grant money. They were saying, and I sued a pharmaceutical company at this time because they took a lot of my work, whatever. It's a lot of people will shy away from that. Oh, she's litigious. And it's like, no, it's very interesting to me. I did everything I could. It took me like 3 years of trying to negotiate with these people, and they don't want to negotiate. These pharmaceutical companies, man, they're bad news, some of them, and they're making up data, and and I'm just this female, and they thought just because she's female, we could just push her around. So I sued them for 7 years and finally won on appeal and all this, or I won the original case, and then they appealed it, and then I won that, and whatever, and that's all in a book. It's called. It was covered in, it was like the front page of the San Diego Union Tribune for 3 or 4 times over the course of 7 years. I mean, these things take a long time when you're in court, and I knew that. I don't put my whole energy into it. I had an attorney who was taking care of this, as I do now. I actually have an appeal on right now, and I'm not putting my whole energy into it, but I'm trying to change some laws in California, family laws. I mean, laws are made to be changed, not the Constitution. You know, you want to, your civil rights are just your basic rights, and that's what I'm trying to protect. Because there's a lot of times, a lot of laws will start to infringe on that stuff, and you got to really protect that stuff, because if you don't, it just creeps in, and next thing you know, whoa, Heil Hitler, you know? I mean, you got to really, you know, everything Hitler did in Germany was legal. He never did anything illegal. You got to keep an eye on the laws, you know, and be careful, because it starts to creep in, and you get lazy, and next thing you know, it's legal to ship, you know, 6 million Jews off to concentration camps. That was completely legal at the time. We did nothing illegal against the law. So you got to watch the lawmakers, and you got to watch the laws, and they're not just, you know, they're not just there from God. I mean, it's not like they're cast in stone. People will start to change them behind your back. You have to be careful about that, you know, and make sure that they're not infringing on your human rights and your constitutional rights. And when they do, you say something about it, and you get to court, and it's all very interesting. But blah 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 blah. Oh, God, I feel like I'm being so boring, but it's all right. Just keep talking. So, Baylor College of Medicine, I wasn't able to get any grants because when I sued this pharmaceutical company, I'm not going to get into it. It's just all, they stole some work, they made up some other work, and they did this, and then they slandered me right and left and said I was just this poor loser who wasn't a good scientist, and I was making up data. You know, I do incredible amount of work, and it's so incredible that it can seem like it's made up, but you know, just time will tell. Of course, it's in the biochemistry textbook, so yeah. But at the time, oh, she's just this and that, and because I'm a female, and you know, it was all men in my field, and blah blah blah. And I'm just tired of the glass ceiling thing. I could have just stayed in science and been one of these trailblazing women, and I just said, I was getting kind of tired of science anyway, and I needed to move on to a second career. And the biological clock was ticking, and what I have identified with my whole life since I grew up as a tomboy is not necessarily a gay, but I would say bisexual. And a lot of people, gay people, have a fit at that. They say there's no such thing. You can't. You're either gay or you're straight, and there's nothing in between. Or they think, what does that mean? And to me, I don't know. What it means to me is, I don't hate guys, and this is going to get X-rated, okay, just for a second. You know, the actual sexual act with guys is fantastic, but I don't fall in love with guys, you know? So, just X-rated very quickly. You know, I like penises, hard ones, but I don't fall in love with guys the way I do with women, okay? And to me, it's just bisexual. You know, I had, and whatever, argue all you want. I just be honest with how I feel and what I do. But gay people are the worst. You say bisexual, they have a fit. It's like Nazis. It's like you have to be pure gay. You have to hate men. You know, if you have to be pure gay, and you're like a lesser gay person if you've slept with a guy and you're a female lesbian, or if you're a gay man and you slept with a woman, you're not pure gay, so you're a lesser gay person. You know, there's something wrong. I mean, you would think. You would think I would face most of my discrimination from non-gay people, but it just shocked me knowing that my biggest discrimination, so I don't fit in with the gay community at all. I'm at odds with them, and that's why I'm in so much trouble in San Francisco all the time, because I'm known there as a homophobe, and I'm just nailing me like crazy. You know, all you have to do in San Francisco is label somebody a homophobe and have a little bit of credibility for it, and you're just like, okay, you're going to jail 5 times for breathing in and out. So anyway, so I've identified myself as a bisexual. You know, especially all the gay people running. But now, you know, the younger generation, they're kind of not caring so much about those labels. It's usually the lesbians that are 50 years or older are trouble. You got to watch out. No such thing as bisexuals. You got to be the real thing like me, man. I went through a lot of crap. Oh, I went through a lot. Sorry, no swearing. I went through a lot of stuff in my life. So that's it. You got to be honest about this. Don't shy away. I'm just a normal person. I'm not And so right now there's a big, let me just discuss this while I'm here. And I get online and I talk about stuff, and I'm trying to, promote legalizing gay marriage, and that's a huge lightning bolt issue right now. And it doesn't have to be, but a lot of people start trying to rely on politicians. Like the guy I trained with, he's like, "Who are you voting for?" And I said, well, to me, the biggest deal right now is we need more women, gender balance. In Congress, we need more gender balance in trucking. And I'm not talking 50-50, I'm just talking more women, because I'm big on gender balance. I'm big on human rights. I'm big on a few things that I just champion. And by gender balance, I mean, and I did this in science, like you go in and you get a room full of guys, and they're very good at certain things, but I like diversity, and I think diversity equals strength, and especially at diversity in ideas. Guys are smart in a certain way, and women are smart in another way, but they're different ways. And so women can see things that guys don't see. So if you get a room full of guys and then a couple women come in, they'll see something differently, and they'll have solutions to problems that the guys never even thought of. Or they'll observe things in science that the guys missed that turned out to be important. And it's the same if you have a room full of women and they're trying to do something, and a guy comes in, he'll see things differently. So when you have a balance of the two, and diversity, and I'm not talking just gender balance, I mean diversity in cultural diversity is good, and that's why the United States is so strong. It's because we are a melting pot, and it makes us strong, because everybody's come from different backgrounds. We can see things differently, and you have a problem, and when you have 10 different people from 10 different backgrounds, or 10 different genders, different genres looking at it, you get solutions a lot faster, because people see things very differently, and you get, so I'm very big on gender balance, and sometimes I don't have a solution to a problem, like, how do we solve the problem of drugs in the U.S. or whatever it is? I'm saying, you know what, that'll go away when we get gender balance in Congress and in industry, and there's a lot of problems that will just go away. I don't know the solution myself, but I know, and I am very confident the solutions will come much more quickly when we have gender balance. So that, a lot of people will say stuff like this, and so when I say something like this, and it just drives the guys crazy. I had a driver trainer, and I don't think you should discuss politics with anybody or religion in mixed company or when you're in a professional setting. These are my personal views. I put them online, and I get in the truck, and all of a sudden within a day, it's like, who are you voting for? And it's like, okay, I'm voting for Obama, even though, I voted for Reagan, was one of my first people I voted for. I vote for I don't vote for down straight ticket, Republican, Democrat, anything, Libertarian. I don't vote for anything. I just, because they're all good and bad in certain ways. But I'll tell you why I said I was going to vote for Obama, because I thought the Supreme Court, which I care about, because I said, judicial branch is very important, desperately needed gender balance. I mean, when you have 1 woman and 9 guys, that's not going to function at its greatest efficiency. And I don't care if liberal, I don't care if they're Nazis, I don't care what their views are. I just want more women on the Supreme Court, period. And if you can't find a woman in the entire United States at this point that is not qualified, then we suck as a nation. I mean, then we obviously aren't doing something right. If you say in an entire country full of 300 million people, you can't find 150 women, you can't find a single woman out of that isn't qualified to be on the Supreme Court, are you freaking kidding me? Then there's something very, very wrong with this country, and we got to do something about it. So that's just an excuse. Oh, well, there's all these men up there because they're the most qualified. It's just BS. Okay, that's the same with every job and everything on the planet. And I don't believe in affirmative action, but in some ways I do, because it's usually the guys making the decision, and you usually pick people who look and act like you. So you're going to pick a guy, of course, because he's the most qualified, because he looks like me and he acts like me, and culturally he's like me. So, yeah, I kind of do in a way. I kind of believe in a kind of push for the women to be in certain places, or even minorities. And even if they're quote-unquote less qualified, what is that? It's just so subjective to begin with, the term qualified. I mean, what does that mean? I mean, if you don't have any women, then you get a woman in there, then she's 10 times more qualified, because you need women. So what I wrote online, and when I'm online, I'm not anonymous, I'm H. Nicole Young, I said, President Obama, if you put a woman on the Supreme Court, during your, I knew that there was going to be some changes in the Supreme Court. If you put a woman on there, I will vote for you in 2012. Because that to me was the most important thing. Not any of that, whatever, health care, this and that. Though I don't like Obamacare, I really don't. Because I don't like pharmaceutical companies, and they're the ones behind. I mean, Democrats are controlled by big tobacco and big pharmaceutical. And that's that. And the Republicans are controlled by big oil and big religion. And that's that. And they're both good, they're both bad. They all have whatever it is. I just don't like a lot of stuff about both of them, and I like some stuff about both of them. But I'm not going to be committed to one or the other. So, of course he's going to have Obamacare because that's completely controlled by pharmaceutical. That's evil. You've got to get rid of that stuff, okay? Pharmaceutical companies are evil. And Obamacare is completely controlled by pharmaceutical companies just getting money for drugs that don't work or for poison. Anyway, that's another subject. So I tell this driver trainer, I'm voting for Obama, and I'll tell you why, because I promised I would if you put a woman on the Supreme Court. Well, he got into office and he put 2 women on the Supreme Court within like 5 months. We now have 3 women. I mean, I couldn't believe this. That happened so fast. I am so voting for him because I'm keeping my promise. And my driver trainer's like, oh, he just blew his mind. Couldn't believe this. Like, it was the end of the world that I was going to vote for Obama because I promised. He says, so what? When you go in there, nobody knows how you vote. You can just vote for whoever you want. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you can have such moral degradation. Guys are this way. They lie and they don't care, and women care. I made a promise online. I'm not going to go in there and secretly vote for somebody else. I'm going to vote for Obama because he put 2 women on the Supreme Court. And I said that, and I also, when I'm a Catholic, I say things sometimes because I know they're not going to happen. So it happened, and I'm going to vote for him. That's it. End of story, And it just blew his mind. He's like, it's the end of the world because I'm going to vote for Obama. I mean, so if your life is so wrapped around a politician that it ruins your day or not, whether somebody votes for this person or not, I don't care. I'll vote for Romney, I'll vote for Obama, I'll vote for whoever. They're not that important. They're only as important as you make them, and these people that make these politicians important. What is important is science, hard facts, and a politician. And what's important is the judicial branch, I think. But politicians can't solve a single problem, and people thinking that they can is just a farce. And it's just going to go around and around, and people get so passionate about politics, and they don't realize a politician can't do a thing. Only science and hardcore facts and evidence can solve problems. So I'd vote for a politician who supports science, but I don't know. I'm not talking about science in schools where they go to field trips and stuff. I'm talking about support technology and technological advances. That's the only thing that can solve problems. Politicians can't. All politicians rely on constantly are facts and evidence that comes from science. So you have to make sure the science is clean, make sure you give real data, don't fake the data, and it's the same in courtrooms. Make sure the evidence isn't tampered with. That's a huge deal with me, because I've been in courtrooms where the evidence was tampered with, and this to me is a huge red flag. If you want to protect America with the flags, yes, I do vote for Obama, yes, I do have a flag, you need to protect that judicial system, you need to protect evidence gathering, you need to protect the whole due process system. Because once that's out, we might as well ship ourselves off to concentration camps. It's a slippery slope, man. You need to protect our judicial system, protect our system of checks and balances constantly. And when you start corrupting that with corrupted evidence and things like that, then we're up the creek. And I saw it firsthand, and I'm going to keep fighting that. And I get it. I mean, it's not like I'm going to drive myself crazy doing this, because I do have an overall positive view that things are getting better in the world. We are going to reach world peace. I do have hope, and I am fully 100% expecting the world to just keep getting better and better because of technological advances, because of the web, because of internet, because somebody like me can talk to a camera and then show it all over the world. It's just wonderful. It's almost going to be impossible for fascism to take over when you have such a free exchange of ideas and diversity and everything, and the world is getting connected better and better. So, coming full circle, a politician, I'm just giving you the basis. Politicians don't solve anything. And I'll tell you, and I picked why I'm voting for Obama in 2012. I promised, and I keep my promises, and that's all there is to it. 2 women on the Supreme Court. Okay, so now there are 3. I mean, I can't believe that. I didn't think that would happen until the year 3000. I mean, it happened so slowly to get gender balance. And that is when you reach a critical mass, too. You don't need 50% women. You need about 30% women. And then the women start to, and then you're not, like, if it's one woman and 10 guys, the woman has ideas, but they get trampled and she feels shy talking about it. But when you get 3 women together out of 9, they get together and they start talking, and then things start happening because they're going, yeah, you know, they help each other out, they support each other, and you reach what's called a critical mass. And, you know, so 1 or 2 women, token women, they're okay, and they're okay for an example, and to show, like, to have a woman president right now would be great, to show my daughter that she can do that. You can say that all you want, but a picture speaks 1,000 words for all the girls in America. If there were a woman president, and I don't care if it's a Republican, a Democrat, or a Nazi, I mean, if there is a woman president, all the girls in the country have to do is, you don't have to tell them anything. You don't have to tell the girls, you know, you can be president if you want to. You don't have to even say that. They see it, and it's there, and it's just, and it makes a huge difference whether you see it or you're just talking about it. You know, so that's why, you know, things like that. That's why I want gender balance, and I want more and more women in positions of power in industry and in government. It's very important just to show girls this and boys this. And it will, and solutions to problems will start to happen more and more. Women are better, for instance, they're better than men in biological sciences. Men are very good at math, physics, because it's all black and white, 2 + 2 = 4. But when you get into biology, it's not quite that simple. You have a lot of different variables, and weather's that way too. And guys can't handle that. A guy cannot say, you'll never hear a guy say, I don't know. There always has to be an answer, and they can't handle something not being pinned down. You know, you have to have all these variables. So if there's more than 3 variables involved, and there are in biology in your body, it's so complicated. Guys can't stand that, and their brain pops out. And I think it has to do with women being able to take care of 5 kids at the same time, and guys think differently. So I'm very interested in gender differences and how it affects government and how it affects everybody's lives, actually. All right, so coming around, we're getting to the gay issue because this is everything, the gay thing. So, everybody argues the gay issue, and I tweeted about this before. It's like, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Well, it turns out that the ones who are opposed to gay marriage and gay rights don't believe that gay people are born that way, okay? Usually it comes out this way. If you talk to people, they don't believe that gay people are born this way. It's like, no, they're perverted somehow, or it's something the parents did. And then they get this guilty feeling like, oh, my kids can't be gay, I didn't teach them to be gay. They think that the parents did something wrong, or it's some kind of a sin, or whatever it is. It's unknown. The ones who are more open to, you know, having gay marriage, same-sex marriage, gay rights, and just acceptance of gay people in general, they're the ones who believe that they're born that way. You're born that way. And most gay people, of course, obviously, you know you're born that way. I knew when